During my own return to Islam, I had rationalized that if I was the only one who was questioning the theology, then perhaps I was missing some insight that everyone else had. I mean, no one else seemed to have these questions. Or so I thought. I'll set my doubts aside, I counseled myself. I'll just focus on the parts of the religion that resonated with me. And with that, I returned to prayer as earnestly as I could. Returning to religion, I thought, perhaps I wouldn't have to feel so alone anymore. I could re-engage with community again. Perhaps I'd also recapture that blissful religious conviction that I once had and which I missed. And so, for a few years, I did actually return to a belief in Ahmadiyya Islam, albeit in a contrived and compartmentalized fashion. The motivation was to have community, and as best as I could, to be congruent with the religion in doing so. Without community, there seemed to be a learned helplessness in navigating life, where one has to rebuild their social network, and where one has to recalibrate their expectations of the networks they might be able to build on their own. These difficulties are especially profound when you've grown up in a tight-knit religious community like that of the Ahmadiyya Muslims. Here, you've got what is effectively 3 degrees of separation across the world. I know that people from mainstream Muslim backgrounds are likely not going to understand, but that, for example, people from a Jehovah's Witness background most definitely will. You cannot easily replace deep friendships and relationships from childhood nurtured over decades. Losing acceptance and stepping out of an ecosystem of social relations where everyone seems to know everyone else, that's hard. The community aspect, when it works, is wonderful. And oftentimes, letting go of religion is a process. Notwithstanding all of the incentives to stay, I just couldn't manage the cognitive dissonance any longer. I was in my early 30s, and I finally had to let go of Islam. This time, for real. At once, I was both ex-Ahmadi and ex-Muslim. And by the way, you should know that the term ex-Muslim is just a synonym for former Muslim. It does not mean anti-Muslim. Far from it, in fact. Myself and many of the ex-Muslims that I've come to know, we all love Muslims. We come from Muslim families that we still very much love. And this is a big part of why we critique Islam. We want to help free the people that we love. We hope to make the world a better place by softening the uncompromising position that many Muslims have been conditioned into from birth. Many Muslims are reluctant to think independently about faith or even to question. Now, since leaving Islam, I've not embraced any other religion, nor is it my intention to do so. I'll always keep an open mind, of course, but I've already surveyed other religious belief systems, and I've not found any of them to be convincing. You can read more about the specific labels that I employ in a treatise which I've written for this purpose. It's called My Beliefs. You'll find a link to that piece in the description box accompanying this video. In brief, I can very much empathize with the intuitions held by the religious that there's a grand design and a creator for our universe, for existence itself. But while there are very good arguments challenging these same popular notions put forth by theism, such metaphysical speculation isn't actually my focus. Now, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy dabbling in these discussions from time to time. But my own focus is on religion itself, the history, the prophets, the claims, and their teachings. And that's because I believe that there are even stronger grounds to conclude that the religions which we have today, all of them, well, they all fall short when we carefully examine their truth claims, their scriptures, their prophecies, and their assertions, especially their claims of superior moral guidance.